Okay, today we are going to tie a Blue Devil Prince. I'm using size 12 Daiichi hook with a 3.2 millimeter brass bead. I'm using UTC 70 thread. And we're just going to start our thread there in the middle or so and just bring it back somewhere about right there, about the halfway point. And the first thing we're going to do is tie in the tail. So I've got some goose biots like that, and I'm going to take two and trim those off from the stem. Now they naturally curve one direction, so I'm going to take them back to back and just get those situated in my fingers to where I can tie a forked out tail. So something like that. All right, so I want the tail to be about half of the length of the hook shank. So once I have that measurement, I'm pinching it right there. So the butt ends, I'm just gonna split the hook and just start right there very carefully with a loose wrap at that halfway point. And then let's just make a few wraps back to our tie-in point directly above the barb of the hook. And notice I keep a hold with my left hand just to support those biots so they don't flip around on me. All right, now we can, I got a little piece of stray hair in there. Let's trim the butt ends. I like using this UTC 70 for this fly because it creates a smooth underbody, so I can build a little slight taper, and it lays down a little flatter. If I was using uni thread, it forms ridges. All right, now I'm going to use two colors of medium size wire for this 12. If I was going to use 14s, I would downsize to brassy. I'm going to take one wire at a time and lay those along the side, lay the first wire on the near side of the hook shank, and just carefully try to position it nice and straight and tie that all the way back to the back. And let's turn right around and come to that same halfway point. And I'm going to do the same thing with the chartreuse wire, but let's try to lay that on the far side of the hook. Oops, slipped out on me there. And lay down that nice thread base as we work our thread back to that tie-in point. Again, directly above the barb of the hook. And let's come right back to just past halfway, like that. And so now we kind of have formed a wider, flatter underbody. All right, let's just take both of these wires now. Let's bring our blue wire over the top to meet our chartreuse wire, and then carefully hold those together. I got a little space there, and try to wrap those over the top away from us, building that little segmented wire body. And once I reach just past that halfway point where my thread is, then I can tie that off. So we'll hold that straight up in the air, capture that down with our thread 2 or 3 times, and then we'll clip that off with a pair of wire cutters, or I got an old pair of scissors here that I can trim that off. Okay, let's just make a few more turns there to secure that in. Now we're ready for the thorax. I'm just going to use some regular old black dubbing. Really any dubbing would work just fine, whatever you have. This is just black rabbit dubbing. And I'm just going to fill in that little spot there in the thorax, and also build a little bulk behind that bead. So I don't need a lot. I'm just trying to taper that up to the bead maybe just a hair more. Again, fill in that little spot right behind the bead. All right, that looks pretty good. We're gonna put a little hackle collar on there. So what I have is some oversized brown whiting dry fly hackle. I'm just gonna prepare that hackle with a little stem there and carefully grab that, secure that in right behind the bead. And all I need really is about one and a half, I guess, turns. And I'm going to tie that in and tie it off right there behind the bead. So hold it with my right hand and make sure I drop that thread over with my left hand just behind the bead. All right, if you had some soft hackle, that would work as well too, but I'm going to try to get that hackle laying back just slightly. So let's just pull everything back out of the way and just build a little thread base right behind the bead, right there. And I'm just building a little collar, and that'll lay back a little bit. All right, now we need the Prince wings, so I'm using white biots. I don't know what it is about these little white biots for the Prince Nymph that seems to catch so many fish. This time I didn't do them back to back, I'm just laying them flat. And this can be a little tricky. Try to even those up. You can do these one at a time or try to do them together. I'm going to attempt to do them together. I want the tips to extend just past the butt end of the fly. And once I have that position, I'm just going to lay my thumbnail right there where I can hold them in place and bring my thread over with 2 or 3 good tight wraps like that. All right, let's just come in here and trim these off. Trying to work around this camera here. All right, you might have some butt ends sticking up there like that. You can pull those back out of the way and actually fold them back over and just cover them up with some good thread wraps and just get that collar going like we did. And then we can whip finish. I got a little bit poking out there in the front. I'm not going to worry too much about that. All right, let's whip finish. And make sure we head cement. This is one of my favorite summertime dropper flies that I like to fish in some of that fast water. Cuts and browns seem to gobble it up as it drifts on by or just slightly suspended under a hopper or a big dry fly like a stimulator. Or I'll fish it as a straight nymph as well. So.